Today we will be starting with the selection controls. Now here selection controls stands for which presents on the screen, where all the possible alternatives or all the possible choices, conditions will be given, and from that we'll be selecting one which matches for our option, which matches for our application, right? Or which user wants to select. So the selection controls generally, which are the selection controls: radio buttons, check boxes, list boxes, drop down or pop up list boxes, and palettes. So in all the cases we will be getting a number of alternatives, and from which we'll be choosing either one or some more, right? So let us start with the first selection control, that is the radio button. We all know that how the radio button looks, right? Everybody know this. Nowadays you are giving so many quizzes for all the three subjects, so all will be of multiple choice question. So from where you will be selecting, either you will be having radio buttons. If more than one answer is there, we may use the check boxes. So this is the radio buttons, right? So what exactly, how will describe the radio buttons? It is two-part control consisting of the following: the small circles, it can be a small circles, diamonds, or the rectangles, and along with that there will be a choice description, right? There will be a circle, and for each circle what will be a choice, what is that circle to be chosen for, so that choice description will be there. So when the choice is selected, that particular option will get highlighted, and any existing choices is automatically if any existing choices are there, that will be automatically unhighlighted or deselected. So we know that in radio button we can select only one option at a time. So by default, if it is any other option is already selected, and if we are selecting some other option, then the previous option will get deselected. It will get unhighlighted, right? So at a time only through radio buttons, only one option can be selected. What is the purpose to set one of them from a small set of mutually exclusive option? Yes, now this is very important in radio buttons. They are mutually exclusive options. Mean you should have one group of options through which you will be selecting one, right? So there will then you may have another group of option from which you will be selecting one. So that's why it is called as a mutually exclusive options. And how many you can have? Maximum, minimum two should be there, because you have to select something, right? So at least minimum two should be there. Maximum you can have up to eight options, eight choices. Advantages: definitely easy to access the choices, easy to compare the choices. Definitely it will easy to compare, because all the choices are in front of us. We'll be comparing all the choices, and from that we'll be selecting one choice. And it will be preferred by user. Why it is saying that preferred by user? Because we are giving the person to select the choice. In radio buttons, we we are not giving the choices uh, which is shown but deselected, which is shown but not available to choose, right? That kind of things are not there. So preferred by the users, so users will select among anything the given on the screen. Users are having a choices to select something, so preferred by users. So these are the advantages. Disadvantages: it's consumes the screen space and limited number of choices. Yes, so it consumes the screen space because see, if the same thing, if you are showing with the drop down list, the drop down list can be hidden, and only one choices will be visible. But if you wanted to see the all the choices, you will click on that right side that button, and then all the choices will open, and then you will select from that one of the choice, right? So in that case it will only consume the screen space which is required to visible for the one choice. But in case of radio buttons you need to display all the choices. So if you are setting it for the 8 choices, then to make it visible, all the 8 choices should be visible, and that much screen space it will be taking, right? So that's why it's saying that it consumes the screen space. And limited number of choices, more than 8 choices we cannot show the uh, 10, 15. You just think more big number. You cannot give a radio buttons where you are giving the number of choices as 20, 30, 50, right? So there is a limited guidelines is saying that you should not have more than 8. You can have, but then it is like it is not giving a good it consumes a lot of screen space in that case, right? So limited number of choices. So that is what the disadvantage. Proper uses, you can see that for setting the attributes, properties, or of the values, right? Generally, when you wanted to set the attributes or you wanted to select the attributes, you can go for radio buttons. If you wanted to set the properties, you can select this, right? So mutually exclusive choices, that is only one can be selected. So if one is selected, other will definitely get this selected. That's why it is again the mutually exclusive choices. Where you have a adequate screen space, you can go for this radio buttons. Adequate screen space or adequate work area, then you can go for that. Then most useful for the data and choices that are discrete, which is different from each other, small and fixed in number, not easily remember, in need of textual descriptions to meaningfully describe the alternatives, and most easily understood when the alternatives can be seen together and compared to one another. And then the last one is saying that most never change in content. So radio buttons are useful where you don't have to, I mean you have to remember all the choices. Then it's better you go for radio buttons and give all the choices so that they can enter any, they can see and they can choose the one option which is correct for that application. uh, So these are all the proper use for this, where you should not use the radio buttons for the commands. Like you have either you wanted to submit or you wanted to exit. So you should not have a radio buttons for the commands where you are giving some actions through which some action is going to start, right? So for that you should not use the radio buttons. Radio buttons should be used for setting the attributes, setting the properties, setting the values or entering the values, right? And what is the second they are saying? Do not use singly to indicate the presence or the absence of the state, right? So on or off, we should, for that you should not use it. mm. So you can see the examples, number of examples are there. So let us go with the choice description. Choice description is nothing but the contents which is there next to the radio buttons. In these examples, all the choice description choices are nothing but left, center, right, decimal, bar. Here the choices are nothing but monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, annually. So always the radio buttons for that, the provide a meaningful, fully spell out choice description, clearly describing the values or effects set by the radio buttons, right? So when we'll say it should be, see, if you speak, if you write instead of monthly, month, instead of quarterly, quarter, instead of annually, annual, semi-annually, semi-annual, it differs from the monthly and month, right? The meaning of month and monthly is different, right? So even they are related, but when we say month and when we say monthly, there is a prescribed, I mean, there is a uh, precise meaning for month also and for monthly also. So you should understand that concept just to type it very fastly, just to save your space or something, or just to save the time for the in your programming. You cannot write instead of month, instead of monthly, month. So always you have to think that you should provide a meaningful, fully spell out choice description, which is clearly telling that what the this value stands for. What is the second choice description? Display in a single line of text. Yeah, this is very important because when you have all the radio buttons, generally the whatever the choice description is there, that should be in a single line. It should not go for a multiple line. So generally try for that. Then display using a mixed case letters. You can see over here, it should be a mixed case. If it is a two letters combined, now here they have used a hyphen, but if hyphen wouldn't have been taken, then would have been the capital. So otherwise also you go for the mixed case. Mixed case means first letter capital, remaining letters are uh, small letters. If there are two words combined as a one word, then two words, every the first letter of the two words should be a capital. So that is stands for mixed case letters. Position the description to the right of the button. Right, that is true. It should be right of the buttons. It should not be left of the buttons. So always when we see that, all the choice description will be next to the buttons, which is right side of the buttons. Then when the choice is conditionally unavailable for the selection, display the choice description gray out or team. So it is also there. See, it is also there. If it is not available, it is unavailable for the selection, you make it out as a gray out or dim it. But generally in the radio buttons we will not take that choice which is unavailable for the users. Okay, and include none choice if it's add clarity. So there also, if there from among there is none is to be selected, then you can include one more choice which is saying that none. So that also is there in the radio buttons, so we can use that. You can see over here, this is by default, it is selected. This is by default. When you will be initially, when you will display it in the first time, then something should be selected, so you need to keep it one default choice, right? So what is the size? Show a minimum of 2 choices, maximum of 8 choices. What should be the default? When the control possesses a state or affect that has been predetermined to have a higher probability of the selection than the others, designate it as a default or display its button filled in. So that's what, whenever you are using something, I mean, whenever you are opening that particular application where the radio buttons are available, then what it should be, by default, one should be selected. Now, which one should be selected? So which we can make it as default, the one which always has a highest priority of the selection, right? So that should be selected. So that's what it is saying in the default. Go for the one which has a higher probability of the selection. When the control includes the choices whose states can't be predetermined, display all the buttons without setting a dot or in indeterminate state. Okay, and when the multiple selection includes the choices whose states vary, display the button in another unique manner or in a mixed value state. So these are the default things which you need to take care. If you are, whenever you are setting any one in the radio buttons, always one will be getting selected. So setting one as a default button. When it comes to the organization of organizing the radio buttons, how you need to arrange it. So when it comes to the arranging or organization, Arrange the selection in expected order or follow other patterns such as frequency of the occurrences, sequence of use, or importance. Uh, for selection, arrayed top to bottom, begin ordering at the top. For selection, arrayed left to right, begin ordering at the left. So generally you can arrange either in the vertical fashion or you can arrange in the horizontal fashion, right? So when you are arranging in the vertical fashion where top to bottom all the choices will be there, always order where the frequency of occurrence, so where generally which will be more frequently it will be accessible, keep those on the top. Same way when you are arranging in from the left to right from horizontal way, always give or always arrange the choices which are more frequently occurred, more frequently selected in the left of the side. So if under certain condition a choices is not available, display it subdue or less brightly than the other available choices. So that's what we talked about, the arranging of the arranging of the radio buttons. So after organization, check with the structure. Now see, you can see different structures of examples. You can see where the different structures are there. A columnar orientation is preferred manner of presentation. Left align the buttons and choice description. So here also you can see it is columnar orientation, right? It is vertical orientation where all the buttons are one below the other, right? And in that also all the radio buttons are left aligned. It is not that one radio button is here, another radio button is here, something. So all are left aligned, right? And even the choices are left aligned. So that's the thing, that's the structure. If the vertical space on the screen is limited, you can go for the horizontal orientation also, right? So it depends on you in your application, the screen availability. Accordingly, that you can decide whether it should be vertical aligned or it should be horizontal aligned, right? So you can go same thing for this also. But when you are going for the left align, right, you have to see that there should be one space distance between the radio button and its choice, and there should be three space distance between the choice of the previous radio button to the next radio button. So there will be a three spaces distance between this also, right? So that is what you need to take care. So that's what they are given. A distance equal to three spaces is usually sufficient. So based on your application, you can make it. Otherwise, general guidelines is saying that it should be three spaces apart. Then enclose the button in a border to visually strengthen the relationship they possess. You can make a border also like this or like this for that particular all the radio buttons, because it is one component. In that component you have number of choices, but radio button is one component. You will be giving a name to that radio button, right? So for that radio button the name might be the color or the choice of color or something. So that is a one component under which you have a number of choices, and all those choices are nothing but through a radio buttons you are showing. So to make it visually to straighten that this is the one component, you can put a border across it. Then you have some more examples you can see over here, but you can see this is the poor form of radio buttons, because you are giving, you just see over here, you're giving the plan choices limited, basic, superior and premium, where you can see the option description is below the radio button. Here you can see the option button is above the radio button. So it's not correct. Here also you can see the options description is right side, right side of the button, but there is no spacing between the first radio button and the second radio button, right? And in this you can see, even though there is a spacing between the first and the second radio button, but it is not, again it is not clear, because here the choice button, the radio button is in the right hand side, where for this choice, for all the choices, the radio button is in the right side of the choice description. So all this is the poor design, right? We can make it out why this is a poor design, because general guidelines saying that the radio buttons should be in the left side of the description, choice description. So in this case, this is left side of the choice. The radio button is left side of the choice description, but there is no proper spacing between one choices to another choice. So this is poor. Poor designing. This is better, bit better. Okay, then this is still better, because here we have maintained all the things which is required, so it is better. This is still better, because here we are giving the it is vertically oriented, right? Here also it is vertically oriented, proper spacing is given. More than horizontal orientation, vertical orientation will give proper visual look, right? You can make out this is different from this because it is on the separate line, so it give a proper visual look. In this case, all the choices are in one line, so to segregate one choice from the other choice, we need to keep minimum of 3 space characters. But in this case, we are giving one line for one choices. So visually it is looking better to capture through our eyes for any user. It is fast, right? So this is better choice. This is also better choice. This is another better, still better choice, because you have put a border properly. And in this it is a best choice because you have put the border and the name of the that particular complete component, that is plan choices. This is also okay, because where the caption of the radio button, what is the caption of the radio button? Plan choices or plan choice. These are the description of, these are the choices, these are the description of the choice, this is the actual choices, but the caption of this all the radio button is plan choice. So you can either keep it as horizontally aligned, or you can put it on the top left top corner also. So this is the best way to show any radio buttons. So that's what we were talking about, caption. So how the caption, what should be the structure of the caption? This is only the with respect to caption. Caption is nothing but this. The name of the radio button. The caption, the label which we have given for the radio button. Right? This plan choice, here plan choice. These are the options for each radio button, right? Limited, basic, superior, premier, all these are the options. But caption for that complete all the options through one radio buttons, through one component, is nothing but the plan choice. So that is the caption. So when it comes to the caption, what is the structure? Provide a caption for each radio buttons control. Display, it should be fully spelled out in mixed case letters. Upper left justified within a border. If it is columnar orientation, it should be upper left justified within the border. If it is horizontal orientation, keep it just left side, but the first, next to the first choices, like this. If your complete, this one is horizontal orientation, the caption should be the first one, like here it is given, right? So it should be left to all the options. So position the caption to the left of the choices description, right? If it is like this, horizontal orientation only, but you have a border, then you can make it over here also, left top corner. So this is all with respect to captions. Comes to the, you can provide a keyboard equivalent uh, for the choice description. So if you are providing a keyboard equivalence, make it highlighted it. So here, if you wanted to use this choice, then you can press Control R. So Control R is nothing but a keyboard equivalent to select this choice there. In this example, see, they have given all the keyboard equivalents, that L is underlined, C is underlined, R is underlined, D is underlined, and B is underlined. So all these are the keyboard equivalents for that particular choices. So if you wanted to select any one of this choice through a keyboard, you can use this keyboard equivalents. So you have shown this keyboard equivalents, but what is keyboard accelerators? The keyboard accelerators are nothing but the control plus C. So if you press control plus C, it will select directly the center choice, right? If you press Control plus D, it will select the option decimal. This option will be getting selected, right? So the keyboard equivalents are L, C, R, D, B with underline. Those are the keyboard equivalents. But keyboard accelerators are nothing but Control plus L, Control plus C, Control plus R. When you actually you will click through a keyboards, that which accelerates your action, that is keyboard accelerators, right? So you can provide, that's what they are saying, you can provide the keyboard accelerators or keyboard equivalents. If you give keyboard equivalents, by default user will come to know that what is the keyboard accelerator for this, right? So you can designate the mnemonic like this and you can make the keyboard equivalents. Then next is selection point and indication. So selection point, the selected target area should be as large as possible. Include the button and the choice description text. Highlight the selection choices in some visual distinctive way when the cursor resting on it and the choice is available for the selection. That means what? When you are, now see, my pointer is on red. Now my pointer is on yellow. My pointer is on green. My pointer is on blue. So it's saying that whenever your pointer is moving from one choice to another choice, you accordingly that you highlight that choice. If now my pointer is on red, just highlight it, don't select it, just highlight it, showing that your pointer, you are pointing on that particular choice description. So through your programming you should say that whenever the pointer is moving on the choice description, you can highlight it with the different color. The choice description you can highlight with the different color. It doesn't mean that you are making it selected, you are just highlighting it, that your pointer is on this particular radio button, right? When you will make it is activated when you are selecting it, right? So what is in the, this is with respect to pointing, and next is with respect to activating. So activating, when a choice is selected, distinguish it visually from the unselected choices, right? And a radio button should be filled in with a solid dark dot or made to look depressed or higher through a use of shadow. So you can make it active in the way you want. You can This is very important that you have to show with this solid red dark dot. At the same time, if it is selected, you can also change the color of that particular choice. So to tell that this choice is selected. Again, when it comes to the default, if the radio button control is displayed that contains a choice previously selected or a default choice, display the selected choice as a set of control. So this is what we already discussed. Okay, so right now it is, yeah, so this is all with respect to the radio buttons.